Thank you. That was a piercing and sobering contribution to end proposition side tonight. So now, rounding off our entire debate, I'm delighted to welcome Oliver Dugmore. Ollie's the head of news and politics at joe.com, a website that gained prominence in 2017 election cycle with a mixture of commentary and humour. Politics Joe has over 270,000 followers on Instagram alone and is a major player in our political media scene today. Ollie, you have the ears of the House.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ollie Dugmore. Some of you may know me as Politics Joe, but I have a name. It's Ollie Dugmore. I'll keep re-emphasising that point. It's Ollie Dugmore, and I am terrified. I'm terrified not just because I have to follow Alex's extraordinary speech that you all just heard, and that I stand opposite a panel of distinguished experts, and I'm a man who makes memes for a living. Although it has to be said, experts they may be, they are distinguished, but they are also wrong today. I'm terrified because I am at the forefront of decisions about the ethical use of AI. The company I work for, Politics Joe, has the capacity to make any politician, any person even, say anything we want them to. And the only thing that stops us from getting Jacob Rees-Mogg to endorse Hamas is our better judgment. And that's terrifying. Because I still conceive of myself as the teenager in the bedroom that spent days playing Call of Duty. I know it's just our better judgment impeding us, because I once asked my esteemed colleague, Chris White, you may also know him as Swede Mason, that's the name of his YouTube channel. He made, some of you are older in here, he made Buttery Biscuit Bass. I don't know if you remember that. Greg Wallace song about puddings in 2011. It was a simpler time. We didn't have TikTok. But I asked him to use our AI, Jacob Rees-Mogg, to cut a promo for our podcast. You know, something like, I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg and I listen to the Politics Joe podcast whilst Nanny's putting sexist to bed, or something. And Chris said to me, Ollie, I don't think we can do that. We are the first people to have this technology and use it in this way, and I think it's unethical to use Jacob Rees-Mogg's likeness to promote our podcast. He doesn't like Politics Joe. He certainly won't like the podcast, and crucially, we know it's AI, other people don't. It's not right. Me, being the kind of bloke that I am, said, Swede, I know you might not like this idea, but should you be taken ill or unavailable, is there anything to stop me from doing it while you're away? And he said, no. There are no laws, no best practices, no editor's code. We are doing this on the fly, and we are responsible for what we produce with it. Well, that promo never saw the light of day, but Swede's not here today. I intend to spend the next 10 minutes convincing you to vote for the opposition, that modern technology won't destroy liberal democracy, and rest assured, you won't be alone.
Ollie, I would never normally concede in a debate.
Premature. It's happened to me before. Rest assured, you won't be alone. I've already convinced Alex.
Ollie, I would never normally concede in a debate, but your points have convinced me.
Thank you. Like I said, Swede's not here. I'm drunk on power, and mentally I'm still a teenager. One of the central paradoxes of my life is that I believe social media is a corrosive force on our society, and yet I have spent my entire professional career creating content to keep people using those same platforms. I've grappled with this point for several years to no satisfying answer, so naturally I thought the thing to do was to dump all my contradictions and trauma into the nearest available public forum and force you to share the burden with me, as is in fashion these days. The closest I have come to a satisfying resolution to that question, however, is that social media is a tool. How you use it matters. A knife can do unspeakable things to a person. It is also incredibly difficult to produce a decent French onion soup without one. For the purposes of this debate, I've taken modern technology to broadly mean AI and social media. I don't think Ozempic poses an intrinsic threat to liberal democracy, although if it helps Boris Johnson to resurrect his political career, we may have to revisit that point. But I'm being charitable, actually, in making that concession to the proposition, the refining of the definition of terms. You should reject the proposition on the basis of its gross oversimplification. Do we believe that high-speed trains, VAR, DNA testing threaten our democracy? I would think not. You should reject the proposition on the basis of its absurd scope. To do otherwise makes you a Luddite. Distinguished. Wrong. Luddites. But for the purposes of keeping this entertaining, I will argue that neither social media or AI will destroy our democracy. The reasons for this are twofold. They are a tool, and how we use them matters. The Metropolitan Police does not incarcerate a knife after a stabbing in London. Scott made the point the same about guns and gun violence. And secondly, frankly, our democracy is already in the mud. And I intend to contend that modern technology cannot destroy that which is already destroyed. Our history is checkered with moral panics about technological advances, brain rot from colour cartoons on TV, or the BBC broadcasting regional accents on the wireless. I have no doubt that 16th century parents were concerned about their teenagers reading Tyndale's New Testament in English. All heralded the end of man, and yet our society survives. My point is that rarely will you hear a positive story about social media in our traditional media, and that shapes our opinion. I listened with interest to the verdict in the trial of Brianna Ghey's murderers. Much was made of the killer's interest in red rooms, alleged interactive streams of torture and murders for which no evidence exists. And it was breathily explained that she accessed these non-existent sites, most of them are scams, through Tor, the onion router, apparently so called because of its many layers of secrets, not its many-layered VPN to protect its users. Less interest actually was shown in the transphobia of her killers. I can't imagine why. I reference this to illustrate the ignorance of much commentary on modern technology. You cannot move for investigations into Snapchat drug dealers, the negative body image fostered by Instagram, or misinformation on WhatsApp. There is less coverage of the fact this technology is a gateway to friendship, sex, music, comedy, the sum total of human knowledge at your thumb tips. AI can be used to verify video or identify cancerous patterns in a CT scan. How we use this technology matters, and it is reductive to suggest it is simply good or bad. Modern technology is acquiring power at an alarming rate. In fact, its concentration of power is perhaps unparalleled in history. Shoshana Zuboff has documented this in her masterful work, Surveillance Capitalism, which is well worth your time if you haven't read it. We exist in a world dominated by a new form of capitalist. They extract data based on your behavior to sell certainty to other companies. Not just targeted advertising, but whether to sell you a mortgage or insurance, and crucially, how much to charge. The Internet of Things and wearable tech presents these companies with an extraordinary opportunity to monitor you and every aspect of your life. Do you drive safely? Is the fridge empty? Did that tweet make you angry or sad based on an ECG analysis via your Apple Watch using your heart rate and your keystrokes? And if you're the company selling this data to your customers, other companies, I noticed in one of the points of information, someone described the users as the customers. That's incorrect, the users of the product. The best way to make your predictions desirable is to ensure that they come true. Facebook has experimented in behavior modification. They conducted massive-scale contagion experiments, these are their own words, to see if they could affect real-world emotions and behavior in ways that bypassed user awareness. One of the defining conflicts of the coming decades is that over data sovereignty, leaks and privacy. We are not powerless to resist these mega corporations. Previous social, market, economic power bases have fallen. So too can this one be disbanded, regulated, controlled. I believe a better future is possible. Not only that, but these tools can be and are currently used for direct democracy, civic engagement and activist organisation. It could be participatory budgeting or developing citizen initiatives alongside our representative democracy, and crucially, possibly as an alternative to right-wing populism. Black Lives Matter, the students' protests against climate change across Europe, organised digitally. These mobilisations, social movements, don't happen in the same way without social media. It is the privatisation of this power that poses the problem. Please. Thank you for your point. I am going to make some progress because I'm nearly done. Civic society, I think, perhaps even the state itself, should instead provide the arena in which the democratic contest takes place, not these private companies. At the very least, this extraordinary power, they're all leaving, Jesus. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. This extraordinary power requires regulation, which so far has been found wanting. Data sovereignty, taxation, transparency, and in some instances we actually just need to enforce our pre-existing laws. But we can develop a framework that means modern technology does not destroy liberal democracy, but actually enhances it. And boy, does it need enhancing. Our democratic deficit is well documented, whether that be the limited devolution in England, our unelected second chamber, the electoral system itself, or recent draconian crackdowns on protest, our freedoms of association and expression. Democracy was already in the mud. You cannot blame or explain the illegal invasion of Iraq, Cash for Questions, Bloody Sunday, or indeed the robber barons on our digital advances. All happened quite some time ago, before the creation of Instagram in 2010. Democracy was in danger long before then, long before Twitter in 2006 or Facebook in 2004. This is my conclusion, I apologise. Modern technology is undoubtedly changing our society, as did Wycliffe's printing press or the radio. Whether that is for good or for ill is up to us. Because the truth is, I am no longer the teenager in my bedroom. I am an adult human man, and I have the cognitive faculties to be responsible. My faith in human beings is stronger than that of the proposition. I hope yours is too.
Thank you so much to everyone who participated this evening. It was an exciting, innovative, an existential set of speeches on one of the central issues of our time and of our politics. So can we please give a big round of applause for all our speakers, and crucially, can we give a big round of applause to both Christina and Helena, who organised and convened this debate.